I'm sorry, everyone. We have been juggled.
I'm so jargled right now.
Life is rough here at the Skeleton Crew podcast, but we'll power through it because we don't miss an episode. Yet. We haven't yet, so I'm like, I want to try to at least get to like 100 without a missed episode.
And we stay on that grind 24/7, hustle, 100% emoji, 100% emoji.
110,
Um,
hustle for sports.
we hustle for the sport. Hi, Stross, how's it going?
It's going all right. I know Sardo over here is not having the best of time. We're the Skeleton Crew podcast. We are your host. I'm Stross. That's Sardo. Um,
Hey.
we're talking about Don Bluth movies tonight.
Uh, this took me back.
So, I guess, Sardo, I'll let you start us off and tell us who be the Don's Bluth.
Don Bluth is a man who used to work for the former multimedia conglomerate source of universal evil that is Disney, the Walt Disney Company, those fuckers who make the cartoons. And Don Bluth is an extremely talented gentleman. Whatever our opinions are of his work, we'll get into that. But I think, Strauss, I can say baseline, Don Bluth is really, really good at making them moving pictures.
Yeah, especially when they're drawn. The drawn moving
Yeah,
pictures specifically.
he make them drawn moving pictures, and they look real nice. And eventually, Don Bluth broke away from the Disney Corporation, which was a ballsy fucking move, to make his own little independent studio and make his own moving drawn picture movies. And he had varying degrees of success with that. You might know him for such small indie joint ventures as The Land Before Time. All of them. He did All Dogs Go to Heaven. He did Secret of Nim. He did Rockadoodle.
We'll get to later Don Bluth. But first, we're going to start with.
I
No, keep going.
I no, but you couldn't be an American child and not know a Don Bluth movie, whether you know it was him or not.
There is like a point in time where I would say of a certain age where
Usually
every
not.
child in America saw at least one Don Bluth movie.
And especially if you are a person in their early to mid 30s,
Oh,
our
definitely.
age.
If you're a millennial born between 1980 to about 1995,
Yeah.
you've seen a Don Bluth movie at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fair
Even if you
assumption.
don't know the guy by name, you know him.
You've seen at least one of his movies, so I guess we're going to open this discussion today with a very important question to you, El Sartorino. What is your favorite Don Bluth movie?
Mm-hmm. That's a tough question. I'm gonna be a little basic and say probably Anastasia. That's right, folks. That was a Don Bluth movie. Some
It,
people
it's
still,
it's well, okay. In fairness, it now is a Disney movie.
yeah, well, now it is, but I'm not going to acknowledge that. Also, yeah, Don Bluth also animated a Scissor Sister music video. He did the music video for Mary. He did an animated scene from that. But that's not the important thing. Anastasia is probably my favorite Don Bluth film. It's beautiful to behold. It gets a little scary in places. And that's something we'll get into, is that Don Bluth is really well known for his kind of overly saccharine work that there's some stuff that it gets way into like the cutesy, but Don Bluth can do scary when he
I
wants
don't
to.
know. Okay, so this is where things get weird because maybe this is because I'm technically because like the Don Bluth movies I grew up with were not the very saccharine ones. Because here's what I will say about Don Bluth. My favorite Don Bluth movie is probably I guess An American Tail, maybe Secret of Nim.
Good choices. You like them cartoon mice?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm guess I'm going to say while I'm here is I'm going to name some of the Disney movies he worked on, just so we know where
Mhm.
he came from.
Right.
And then I have a story about a different one of his movies that's way funnier.
Okay.
So first things first, here's some of the movies he worked on that weren't by him specifically. I'm trying to find the exact movies. Hold on.
I've got the Wikipedia article pulled up.
Yeah, but it only really does. He was. I'm trying to look at all the stuff from before then. No, he was on. He worked on Sleeping Beauty, The Sword and
He
the
sure did.
Stone. Stuff like Groovy Ghoulies.
The well-known and well-loved Groovy Ghoulies.
He was a layout artist on the Teenage Witch. He was a character animator on the Robin Hood movie.
Uh-huh.
An animator on several shorts for Winnie the Pooh. He was the director animator for Bernard and Miss Bianca, specifically for The Rescuers.
Loved that movie.
And we should know that in animation, there's a lot of like people who are important, like director parts for different parts, because animation is kind of a complicated process because you're turning drawings into moving pictures. So there you go.
There's a lot of moving parts in there.
He did the animated sequence in Xanadu.
He did the I've seen Xanadu. Have you seen Xanadu?
I have also seen Xanadu. It's not good. It's not a good movie.
It's really bad.
And
but the animation, very nice.
Yeah, the last Disney movie he worked on, unaccredited, mind you, is Fox and the Hound.
He animated The Widow Tweed.
Oh, he was a character animator. His first directorial debut is Secret of Nim, and that's basically where we're going to start with him as a director.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he's on Twitter.
He is on Twitter.
Still alive.
Yeah, I kept going back to, like, because I kept wanting to say Don Bluth is dead, and I kept reusing, like, past tense to... It's like, no, Don Bluth is very much alive.
Yeah, no, you're thinking of Richard Williams.
Yeah. Different guy.
Also important animator, different person.
Yeah.
He did Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
It's true.
Also a movie we're probably going to have to talk about in full.
Fuck yeah, we are.
But anyway, so Don Bluth breaks off from Disney in like sort of the late-ish 70s, early 80s, and he has his directorial debut of Secret of Nim, which is a fantastic movie.
It's good.
Probably scarred some children for life. That's a theme here. I would say from 1982 to 1989, Don Bluth has made at least 3 movies that have scarred at least one child for life.
And that's sort of the Bluth Renaissance, if you will.
The Bluthissance, really. See,
like, that's when he made good shit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But the thing is, Don Bluth is famous for making movies that scare the children's.
He's very good at it.
Yeah. Because Secret of Nim has, like, a bunch of scary stuff in it. An American Tale forces kids to deal with xenophobia and racism and the Mouse of Minsk.
And confronting the grueling reality of being an immigrant in a land that doesn't especially, want you or like you or try to embrace you. And that's fucked up.
And The Land Before Time is 60 minutes of like a lot of tragedy.
There's a lot of fucked up shit happens in the first
My
Land Before
this is gonna be one first of many stories of Stross speaks about his sisters, his literal sisters. I remember because my older sister like was talking about it because I'm not sure which DVDs you not DVDs. I'm sorry. These were older. These were VHS tapes
Oh,
that your
God.
family had, but for my family, one of them was A Land Before Time.
Same here.
And my sister was like, "Yeah, I hadn't seen it in a while, so I'm going to go watch it again." And also because like it's short as fuck. It's like 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very short movie. I'm sorry, it's 69 minutes.
Nice.
There it is. But, so you watch it and it's just, and she's like, "Oh my God." She was like, "God, this movie's depressing." Like his mom dies in the first like 2 minutes. And it doesn't it doesn't get better.
Littlefoot's got kind of a bleak existence at the beginning, and yeah,
And
it's
there's a lot of Land Before Time movies, by the way. I'm not sure how many you know that there are, but there's a lot of them.
as somebody who deals with like an influx of new movies for children on a pretty regular basis as part of their job. There is more Land Before Time films than there is any right to be.
Okay, Sardo, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. How many do you think there are? And when do you think the last one was released?
That oh god. That last shit came out like easily within the 2020s. It's at least in the tens of movies. Close am I, Stross?
The last movie, Land Before Time 14, came out 7 years ago in 2016.
Well, broken clock is right once a day. Holy shit.
Because I know I've watched several of the sequels. I know I watched like the second one, probably the third one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember which one had the dinosaurs just thinking about eating eggs.
I remember the eggs.
Eggs. I'm trying to find which one that is, and I'm trying to remember by title. No, I think that's the second one.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out who. I'm looking at the Land Before Time's character page, and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Who up on the Land Before Time character wiki?
That's a terrifying prospect. That statement scares me, but I remember that song about eggs, about eating eggs, which is sung. There it is. It's sung by Jeff Bennett and Rob Paulson. That's the people.
Very nice.
Because they play Ozzy. And I think his name is Strut.
True confession. Once in a while, when I'm gonna eat like a good old hard-boiled egg or a deviled egg, because I get to jonesing for eggs sometimes. I will, without fail, remember that song, and I'll think about it. And it's like, yeah.
It's not. By the way, there's no need to watch the 10,000 sequels to.
You don't.
There are.
I don't know why you would.
13 other movies for it. Nothing is good by the 13th iteration.
It's just don't do it.
Yeah, once the Mormon left, things got bad fast. That's a true statement.
Yeah. And yes, Don Bluth is also a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Don Bluth is a Mormon.
Yeah,
Pretty sure he still is. I
I
don't
think
know.
so. I haven't.
Yeah. Which, as speaking as somebody who has, quite a few members of the Mormon faith within my extended family, knowing that makes so much about his work makes so much more
Oh, yeah,
sense.
no. What's so interesting about his work is once you realize he's a Mormon, a lot of like the weird, like Christian imagery and thought processes in his work, suddenly goes, oh,
Yeah, it's like I'm not a member of any particular faith myself, but having grown up around a lot of it just on the periphery, it's like, oh, yeah, uh-huh.
yeah. Especially All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yes.
All Dogs Go to Heaven makes way more sense when you realize he is a Mormon.
So, on that note, Stross, because I don't think you can talk about Don Bluth without talking about All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Well,
What do you think of All Dogs Go to Heaven?
it's been a long time since I watched it, and I do believe we either had the first or the second one on in the catalog of uh what's it called? The VHS rack, if you will, the shelf.
Yes.
It's I think it's a good movie. The original.
It is a very good movie.
It
Yes.
is also the last Don Bluth movie to be like outright terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because just to give you an idea here, he would direct Rockadoodle after this.
He goes downhill. Okay, I will say though, he makes Anastasia in 1997. No writing credits, but the guy did give us Rasputin.
Yeah. Well, okay, here's the way I put it. Anastasia is not that good of a movie. It really isn't. It's not bad. I think it's a totally fine movie. It is definitely not his best work.
Strauss, I know you can't see my face right now.
You are
I
so
want
mad.
I want you to stop for a second, and I want you to picture the face I am making at you. It is very disapproving.
I imagine you just took a pencil and drew on angry eyebrows.
That is exactly what I'm doing, actually.
I love Anastasia. I want to make that abundantly clear. I like that as a movie, but I'm willing to also cop to the fact that by his standards, well, okay, by the standards of the 90s, it's by far his best movie. And mind you,
really good.
Mind you, that has a lot more to do with the fact that the three movies he made before this are The Pebble and the Penguin, A Troll in Central Park, which is maybe the only movie he actually made for babies.
Yeah.
It's beautifully animated. None of these movies look like okay. We should mention this. All of these movies look great.
Everything Don Bluth makes looks good. It looks scrumptious.
He is a master animator. Duh.
He's so fucking good if you just let him draw. He's got kind of the Kubo curse. Don't you think that in a way he's got a bit of the Kubo curse?
Well, sort of. Like the thing is with Don Bluth is that he's not a writer.
He's not. He does not have writing credits on a whole lot of stuff.
No,
he has.
I'm going down the Wikipedia page. I will mention what he's a writer on. He did not write The Small One, which was a short that he did. Which is that looks biblical. Yep. He did the story for Secret of Him, but that's based after a book, so he didn't write that.
He also wrote Banjo the Woodpile Cat, which you will all know and love.
Yeah,
and
everyone's
definitely heard
favorite. He didn't write I know he didn't write an American Tail.
No.
He didn't write A Land Before Time. He helped do the story of All Dogs Go to Heaven, Rockadoodle, and A Troll in Central Park. The only movie he officially wrote of his is Thumbelina, which I remember very vividly because I know I've seen that movie way too many times. Also,
Gilbert Gottfried voices one of the characters in it.
Also, not his best work, but by the standards of him in the 90s, it's his second best movie from that time period.
Which is painful to say.
Yeah. Like, Anastasia is a good movie in the sense that, like, it's very watchable. It's got an awesome villain song. But with Christopher Lloyd doing it, and that's great.
I also want you to choose your words very carefully when you talk about the movie that had Once Upon a December in it. Show some respect.
That's also a good song in it. I do. I'm going to be super honest with you, Sardo. I saw an even worse Anastasia movie recently that is so flagrantly bad, but also incredible. I need to tell you about this movie real quick. Hold on. Quick aside. Okay. I saw this horrible Anastasia movie that has Tsar Nicholas II in it, played by the guy who played Superman in Superman Returns.
Uh-huh.
And he looks nothing like the Tsar. He doesn't even have any facial hair.
Uh-huh.
She gets sent forward into the future, into the 1980s. The best part about this movie is that Rasputin is in it, and he's not the bad guy in this one. He's actually a good guy who gets brainwashed by an evil witch that never gets named and works with Lenin, who looks really bad. This movie, hold on, I need to look up what this movie's title is. What is this movie called? No, it's not this one. This is actually good. Like, it's, you have to understand, Sardo. Like, by comparison, Bluth's Anastasia is not just a masterpiece, it is an all-time classic. That is such untouchable by comparison.
I want you to fucking speak of my favorite Bluth film with some respect.
Oh no, I like it. I want you to understand. I am saying this other Anastasia movie is so bad, and I mean so flagrantly bad that it makes like Bluth's Anastasia movie look like it was the animation done for The Thief and the Cobbler. Like that level. And you know what I mean when you've seen The Thief and the Cobbler.
Yes, I have.
And you know what I mean when I say, like, Don Bluth is a master animator, but, like, Richard Williams poured his heart and soul into that movie, and all of his money.
Yes.
Like, that's not an insult to Don Bluth. This is more of a statement of Don Bluth was not nearly insane enough to animate that movie that way.
The Thief and the Cobbler is, like, an animator-breaking movie.
I mean, it basically broke several. It also was a great place where a lot of them learned. The point is, The Thief and the Cobbler is like a passion project, and it is meant to be, like, animated perfectly, which Don Bluth wasn't going to do because he was trying to also, you know, make a movie.
He's trying to, like, live and exist and make, you know, make stuff.
This is not an insult to Don Bluth. Now, anyway, the thing is, other thing I like about the Anastasia movie, that design for Anastasia is, like, I have, like, a massive crush when I was a child.
I knew it.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I like that movie. I'm not someone who hates that movie. I just am willing to, as someone who's seen it enough times in other Don Bluth movies, my biggest problem with it is a bit too much of a Disney movie. But with the parts where it breaks out into a Don Bluth movie is awesome. It feels like a compromised vision at times.
Yeah.
Except for the train sequence. The train sequence is awesome.
It's very good.
Yeah. It's a good movie. I will be the first to say it's a good movie, but it is not his best work. But that's more of a statement because Secret of Nim is really fucking good. It's like, what's your favorite Del Toro movie?
Golly, probably Pacific Rim.
But would you say that's his best movie?
I don't fucking know.
I mean, okay, we know the answer to that. It's Pan's Labyrinth, mostly because,
I mean,
duh.
Pan's Labyrinth is beautiful, but it's like I think it depends on like best. It's like which one did I enjoy the most? I loved Pan's Labyrinth. I enjoyed Pacific Rim the most. But it's I feel like best is it's
It's tough. I mean,
question.
the other thing about Anastasia, to me, is that it definitely feels like a lot of studio interference happened with that movie.
Yeah.
And like I would love to ask if I was given like a time to talk to Don Bluth about his movies. The first thing I would ask you of him is, which one's his favorite that he worked on?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm curious to see what he would say now.
Yeah.
But the second one I would ask is, especially in the 90s, because the thing we're kind of like been dancing around is the dip in quality of his movies from
We'll get there.
1989 into the 90s. Because, like, let's go back over again. Secret of Nim. Great movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
An American Tail. Great. This is also the point where it's like, yes, I am the Jewish one here, so of course I have an attachment to that.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
Somewhere out there, Sardo's really pissed at me.
Pissed.
I'm kidding. It was just funny. I let the joke stand. But Land Before Time, banger. If
Banger.
scarring, absolutely scarred probably both of us and my older sister, and probably my younger sister too.
Oh yeah.
Wow. All Dogs Go to Heaven. I still think is a great movie, but it's very much, you have to understand this is a very Christian movie.
I want to also say All Dogs Go to Heaven is kind of a transitional point in Bluth's work because
I agree.
I feel like All Dogs Go to Heaven was good, was successful in a lot of points, but it also starts the stage where shit starts to get kinda weird.
Yeah, I feel like this is like, okay, also we need to talk about how in the sequel you go from Burt Reynolds to Charlie Sheen, and that's really funny.
Very funny.
Very funny. You know what? I need to watch Anastasia again. It's been a long time since I watched it. I probably appreciate it more now.
I think I'm a little defensive of Anastasia because that was a movie that baby Sardo really loved.
That one,
little baby.
Okay, so fun fact. I know what you're about to say. That's the one that you grew up watching a lot on repeat. You put the VHS in, play it, then you hit the rewind, do it again.
Yes.
And that one was at my cousin's house.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, these were my mother's side, so they were only like 14 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't watch it as often as, say, A Land Before Time. Also, like, my history brain gets turned on. I'm like, he wasn't a wizard. He was a homunculus. How else can you explain how he refused to die that one time?
And it makes sense.
But yeah, no, I think we need to watch Anastasia together just because
We should.
I think we'll have a lot of time. I like that movie. It's definitely like I think the thing I dislike about it the most is that it feels the most Disney. And mind you, that's because that's what the studio wanted.
Yes.
And I feel like I said, if I got a chance to ask him, and I asked if is Anastasia the movie you wanted it to be? Because I think if I asked him that, he would probably be like, no, I'm proud of it, but I wish I could have like another go at it and make it more the movie I wanted it to be.
Yeah, this is not Don Bluth flexing his full creative muscle.
It's actually at its best when it's mostly about Rasputin. Because then it gets weird. Because like Don Bluth movies get weird and kind of creepy in like in a way that I'm surprised we did not talk about this during our childhood Spookums episode. Did we? I don't remember. That was months ago.
We did not.
Okay,
but
good.
like the I distinctly remember the Rasputin stuff. I don't think if you had asked little Sardo at the time, it's like, what was your favorite part of the movie? It wouldn't have been that. I would have said it was Once Upon a December. I love that whole scene. I still love
No,
that whole
that scene is
sequence.
great. Like that also
But
is like the other half of Don Bluth when he gets
yeah,
very serious in his work.
and it was so good. But like in the dark of the night, it just all the imagery of it and the Rasputin character and kind of what Bluth chose to do with him. It just this is I'm struggling to find a way to accurately describe this, but Stross, you might understand what I'm talking about. It hit this little kind of like mental funny bone for me
Yeah.
where it's like but
There's a
also
lot of modern current Sardo that you can find in that movie.
I yes, it resonated
Yeah.
with me, I think.
And like to me, I think my problem with that movie is the parts that are good are really good in that movie.
Mhm.
But the parts that are not as good are very much just Hank Azaria is trying so hard.
He's trying his damnedest.
It definitely feels like the problem is that movie came out in 1997,
Mhm.
and by that point Disney was having its renaissance and some of its best movies ever, and you feel it.
He can't compete,
It
but you can
it's
try.
not even that he can't compete. It's just that now the studio is making him try to not be
And that's
Don
like
Bluth and be Disney.
you can try to compete with Disney at the expense of your own creative desire, but you're never going to be Disney because Disney is Disney. You're just going to ring as a hollow imitation and you're better off just being Don Bluth.
Yeah, it just feels like they like you did Disney, Donnie, you could do it, and he's just like, okay, you're paying me a
But
lot of
it's
money
like
to do
that.
it.
And the thing is that Don Bluth is quoted as saying that the major reason he left Disney is because he found the work there boring.
Yeah, and it
And
also kind of makes sense that Anastasia was one of the last few movies he made
hmm
because like that's the point where the studio started basically pulling a Walt and being like, I'm in charge, do what we say.
and it's so sad because like that's what the guy broke away from Disney to get to.
Yeah, and mind you, I think also part of the reason why Fox was starting to get kind of fed up with him was also because let's be honest,
hmm
he his from 1991 to 95 his movies did not do great
No, they were not financially very successful
or very good.
or very good.
Rockatoodle's bad.
Titan AE, God bless him. Don was really
I have a
swinging for the
story
fences.
about Titan AE. Are you ready for the second half of Strauss talks about his siblings again?
Fill me in. What's
Okay,
up?
I saw Titan AE in the theaters
hmm
in 2000. Little boy Strauss had little skeletal Strauss was watching with his father and
hmm
his little sister. And I remember
Yeah.
this movie I don't remember a lot about what happened in Titan AE, but I remember the fallout of what happened with my younger sister in this movie. I want you, Sardo, to come up with the idea of where this story is gonna go involving my sister.
Okay, let's go.
I want you to just take a wild guess
hmm
on what possibly happened during this screening of Titan AE. More accurately, what happened afterwards. I want you to just guess.
Okay.
You have the floor.
Um,
Let your creativity. I can English.
creativity.
My
All right.
creativity.
I'm gonna flex my creatine to its fullest potential
Hell
here.
yeah.
Without a whole lot of context. Um, your sister met Don Bluth. I don't know.
No, okay. So here's what happened. The movie was too loud, so my little sister, and she's like 4, by the way, at this point,
Uh-huh.
uh, put her milk duds in her ears as earplugs. So we had to, my poor father, the doctor had to, like, we had to go to my aunt's house and use like tweezers to pull them out.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
I
beautiful.
want, like, I knew you were not going to get it, but that is what happened.
Well, you gave me no context. How could I possibly know? That's
Well,
that's
yeah,
a great
but-
story, though.
Yeah, it's a great story. It's also funny because I think it's the only time I can remember like watching a Don Bluth film in the theater. And that makes a
Mhm.
lot of sense because you and I we were born in the same year.
Yes.
Outside of Anastasia, the only other theatrical release we would have saw potentially is like The Pebble and the Penguin, but we were like 3 at the time.
Yeah.
And the other one is Titan AE. That's it. So our options are 2. And it's either Anastasia, which you may have seen in the theaters, maybe not. I don't know. I don't remember seeing it.
I don't remember seeing it either.
So I can only remember one, and that's his last theatrical movie.
Mm-hmm.
And is Titan AE okay?
I want to say, like, I can't find it in my heart to really dislike Titan AE because
I don't think it's bad. I don't dislike it, but boy, is it okay, I think is the right word to put it.
it's very mid.
Mid is accurate. It's not his worst movie.
No.
Not that we meant. Like, what would you say is his worst movie?
I'm gonna say probably a Troll in Central Park, just because it at least Rockadoodle was something kind of. I'm always gonna give points for trying something a little different, a little maybe unconventional. And I think a Troll in Central Park was his most paint by numbers.
Yeah, I think the problem with the Troll in Central Park is that it is the most Don Bluth movie made for like tiny children, and I mean that in the insulting way, because like there are things made for small children that are good.
Yeah.
Like A Land Before Time is meant for the same audience and is much better.
Yeah.
And way more scarring. Whoops.
Like there's plenty of stuff that it's like you can make something for kids and not talk down to them.
Yeah. Whereas this feels like, you know what a Troll in Central Park reminds me of? You remember the movies your parents would get to like babysit you for an hour while they like
Yeah.
went to cook dinner? That's what a Troll in Central Park feels like. And it's not like Anastasia, which would come 3 years afterwards, which like felt like effort was put into it.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it's like we need to give Dom DeLuise a movie, and here you go.
Dom really needs to pay the rent. Let's get something for old Dommy.
God, I forgot that Rockadoodle looks like it is such an Elvis looking character, and not in a good way.
Back in the day when like Elvis stuff was really apparently a thing kids loved, was that ever a thing? I don't think it actually was. I think
Not since the 1950s and 60s.
I think throughout history, creators of children's media have tried to gaslight kids into thinking they really love Elvis impersonations.
I think the problem is, and I think that's one of those things where it's like, you're an adult, and it's just like, this is the music you grew up on.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like imparting that onto children, and sometimes it goes really well, and it's like School of Rock.
I just can't wait to become a popular children's movie director and do my entire animated movie vehicle based entirely on the music of 100 Gex.
Or Gex.
Kids will love it.
Yeah.
Toddlers will love 100 Gex, the musical.
Like, I think the problem is, like Don Bluth made movies for children, but then he also made movies for, like, small children, and those are usually his worst movies.
A Troll in Central Park is the Cocomelon of Don Bluth movies.
Yes. Yes, it is. And then Anastasia is like, oh, maybe he's back on the uptick, and then he makes Titan AE, and then he makes no other movies. He tried. In a weird way, Titan AE was foreshadowing, and you don't know what I mean by that?
Do tell.
You remember that Disney released the sci-fi Treasure Island movie?
I remember that movie. I liked that movie.
It's not bad, but it's also like, it's no one's favorite Disney movie.
It's not.
I mean, it's somebody's, but it's not. It's like if we were to poll 1,000 people, I would be surprised if we get to like anything above like 5%.
It's like, it's a good movie, but it's not a lot of people's favorite.
No, I think more people would go to bat for Atlantis before they go to bat for Treasure Planet.
Well, yeah, because Atlantis had like the super hot girl.
Which one?
With several super hot girls.
There it is. I'm like, Sardo.
I mean, there were multiple super hot girls. Listen, people liked Atlantis because we like women.
It's true. If you love women, you're going to love Atlantis. You're also going to probably like Anastasia if you're very much into a very annoyed lady who is stuck with a very annoying guy who's kind of hot.
I fucking called it, though. It's like, Anastasia seems like she'd be a Stross girl. And
She
I was
is.
right.
It's the hair. The hair, the part where she has the hat on and she's trying to disguise herself. God,
It's the hair, and it's like the spunky, feisty.
There is
kinda...
one joke from that movie, by the way, that will never leave my mind.
Oh.
And you know which one it is. Grandmother! It is I! Anastasia! Like,
I love that.
I think Anastasia is, like, a good example of, like, he tried so hard to make that movie as good as it could be with as much studio interference as possible, and boy howdy did he try.
It's Anastasia's at its best when the bluthiness comes through.
Yes.
I'm creating a word. It is bluthiness.
Well, I think the proper term for it is when the author comes through.
Yes, but I'm specifically here. There is,
in this case, his specific bluthiness.
There's a very specific Don Bluth flavor, and we're calling it bluthiness.
Yeah. When the bluthness is coming, it absolutely when it feels like a Bluth movie, it's very good. But the problem is then there's like the part where it's trying to be a Disney movie, and you can tell he's starting to lose interest.
And it's like, Don, stick with us here, Don.
Which is a shame, because I feel like as a creative person, he is so talented. And he is, obviously. Now he's basically retired, which is fine.
Well-deserved retirement, because, damn.
I mean, in fairness, he was almost in this industry for 50 fucking years, so...
Yeah.
He started in 1959, so there we go.
He worked for Disney.
In the 50s.
The man deserves to hang up his hat and call it a day.
Worked with Walt Disney. Not like worked for Disney. He worked for Walt Disney.
The Walt Disney.
Yeah. And he, he deserved, like, after Titan AE flopped, I'm pretty sure he's just like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah,
and that's fair.
Oh.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But
everybody deserves to retire.
I feel like the end point of this episode is that we're probably gonna watch Anastasia at some point in the near future or after this.
I'd say that's likely. Yeah. But
But I feel like when it comes to Don Bluth, the sad part is Rockadoodle marks the point where his movies get noticeably worse. Jumps back up a little bit with Thumbelina, which is not a great movie, but it's fine.
Thumbelina makes some choices.
You want to talk about those choices? Go for it, Sardo.
Um, I want to talk about Gilbert Gottfried as the Beetle.
Go for it. Just I'm giving you the floor for the next like 5 minutes. Just say whatever you want.
Talk about Gilbert Gottfried as the Beetle for 5 minutes.
Well, you have 5 minutes. You don't have to use all of them.
There's a lot of it. I think Thumbelina is the world's most unaddressed reverse harem anime. There are so many different hostile woodland creatures, and they are all trying to marry Thumbelina. There are frog titties. Stross, do you remember the frog titties?
Yes, I do.
You remember the frog titties.
Of course I
do. Thumbelina was not that bad. I think
I don't think it's bad. It's just it's very
surreal.
It's a very weird movie.
It's a very surreal
I would say
movie.
the difference between like what's wrong with Thumbelina versus what's wrong with like Rockadoodle or A Troll in Central Park is that like those movies aren't good. There's something inherently bad about them. They're just not good. Thumbelina's weird. Thumbelina's a really weird movie.
Thumbelina gets real weird with it, and
Thumbelina.
Thumbelina.
Yeah, that's stuck. That's a memory locked in my brain forever.
Also, I just want to say, as somebody who, unfortunately, I'm going to make an unflattering confession. You're gonna learn something new about me today.
Ooh, exciting.
It's nothing interesting. But as somebody who spent a good portion of their young teenage years watching YouTube and watching a lot of media critique stuff, I want to say, fuck Doug Walker for a lot of reasons, but also, like, fuck him for, I think, keeping an unnecessary amount of shit on Don Bluth's less successful, more weird stuff. Because I don't know. I remember that really. Yes, I used to watch the Nostalgia Critic when I was a little.
You're not alone here. Don't worry about it.
But it's
don't worry about it because when I was doing it, I was like 20. So I have more to be embarrassed. I have more to be embarrassed about. Okay.
I think the early 20s are some of the stupidest human years to be alive.
This is true.
I think I was at my peak level of stupidity when I was 21. So, Probably. It's okay.
But it's just keep going.
Fuck Doug Walker for that. Also for many other reasons, but for this in particular.
But in this very specific context, also fuck you.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't know. Looking back on it, it's like Don Bluth did some stuff that was, maybe a little unconventional, but you gotta give the guy some credit for swinging outside the fences. I don't know. I think we look a little too unkindly on Don Bluth.
Yeah. I think part of the problem is if you like watch them in order of release.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the last movie before Don Bluth hits the 90s is All Dogs Go to Heaven, which is, I would say, of his 80s work, his worst movie.
Yeah.
Specifically
I'd say that's fair.
Which is more of a statement about the rest of his 80s oeuvre. Like Secret of NIMH, An American Tail, Land Before Time, 3 straight in a row. That's 3 straight bangers of films. Those are all classics.
It's true.
It's just Lord. Just once he hits the 90s, it's a bit of a problem.
It's a bumpy area.
Yeah. With like the high point being Anastasia, which is, a solid
a good movie. But it's not his
it's not the Bluthiest movie it could have been.
It is Don Bluth restrained.
It's Don Bluth trying to make a Disney Renaissance movie while probably not wanting to do that.
It is, yeah, it's Don Bluth under a lot of creative control that is not necessarily helpful or conducive to his best work.
It feels like he should have, like I said, I would have loved to have a version of that movie that's just like, what would Don Bluth have done if it's like, you have to make an Anastasia princess movie, you gotta do it, but you get to do whatever the fuck you feel like.
Such a fucking banger. God, we should have had that.
Yeah. This is how you know the universe is unfair.
It's true. And I guess on that note, I want to make one last statement.
You want to dress as Dimitri?
The only true genders in the Don Bluth cinematic universe and in all other universes are girl, attractive man with a center part, villain with big teeth, and Dom DeLuise character. And that's all I have to say on that.
You just don't want to admit that we are Vlad and Dimitri from that movie specifically.
We are! We are!
You just don't want to admit that that's what's really going on here.
I'm the annoying fucker with a center part. You're the cool one.
No, I'm the goofier sidekick man who goes, oh.
I love Vlad.
And played by Kelsey Grammer.
I love Vlad and his thick lady girlfriend.
Oh,
like, remember her?
To be,
I don't remember.
We're gonna need to watch that movie.
Yeah.
We might be doing this once we're done. There's a good 30% chance that that's happening tonight.
There is a non-zero chance.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I'm saying if it does happen, we're not shocked.
But yeah, I'm sad that, like, I wish Don Bluth had gotten to do more of what, like, I don't know what he wanted to do. Maybe this was what he wanted to do.
I think part of it is, like, I think I get what you're going for, which is you wish he got to do exactly what he wanted every single time, or at least in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wish he'd been a little more unfettered when it came to his creative control.
Yeah, and the downside is the studios don't always let you do that. I guess that's when, I believe that's around the time when he stopped working directly with Spielberg, and, you know, Spielberg had, like, a lot of say from the 80s into the 90s at Fox.
It's true.
And, like, there's a reason why An American Tail was made, because Spielberg's like, we're gonna make movies about my ancestors now, and you can't stop me.
Oh, yeah. But I don't know. I really like Don Bluth. I think he's... I wish he'd gotten to do more. I'm talking about the guy like he's dead. But,
yeah.
I mean, I
think what you're saying and what both of us are probably thinking is that we wish he had one last shot to make one more good movie.
Yeah.
Like, we just wish his last movie wasn't the movie that it was.
I think that's a fair statement.
Because Lord Howdy is his last movie, Titan AE.
It's
a movie.
It is certainly a movie.
A movie. Not even the best movie.
Also, as a last aside, Don Bluth didn't just make movies, he also dabbled a little bit in video games.
Yeah, I'm surprised we went this long without talking about Dragon's Lair.
Now, let's talk about Dragon's Lair. Also funny because Don Bluth, the man of the Latter-day Saints, good old Mormon Don Bluth, rotoscoped a porn actress for this for this game, and I think that's funny. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay, I have a fun question.
Huh.
Do you know who made this game? Not Don Bluth who did the animation, but who funded it?
Ubisoft?
No, it was Advanced Microcomputer Systems, AMS.
Oh. I didn't know that.
And the important thing is we need to talk about Rick Dyer.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rick Dyer would make the Halcyon, a system that never managed to do what he wanted it to do.
Mm-hmm.
It like there's a history to that like it's a fascinating thing. The world is a fascinating place. But yeah, Dragon's Lair, very awesome. Have you ever played it?
I've never gotten the chance to play it. I've watched a lot of other people play it, but I have never gotten the chance to play it. Have you played it?
I don't think I've ever actually played it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always felt that, and my issue with the game is that you can only really play it once. But it's cool. He also did Space Ace.
It seems very cool. Space Ace.
Yeah, that he did. Well, there was more than one Dragon's Lair game. There was Dragon's Lair 2. There's Space Age, which is the space version of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, basically.
Yeah.
There's Dragon's Lair 3D. He also helped make a game called I Ninja, which I've never heard of. Which, okay, let me put it this way. If I haven't heard of your game, that's bad.
It's definitely obscure. Okay, It's funny, I'm looking at the article for this now. I've seen this somewhere before. I know I've seen this, but I just don't fucking remember where.
Which one?
I Ninja.
Yeah, no, it looks... You might have... You know what it probably is? You probably saw it on a shelf in, like, a Blockbuster video.
That might be it.
It sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is Don Bluth. And our thoughts are, when he was at his Bluthiest, boy howdy was it great.
He did a great job. Don Bluth was definitely pretty instrumental in my art interest as a little tiny baby Sardo.
And also probably scarred us for life at one point.
Oh yes, and I appreciate
and
that.
And many other children in America. And honestly, what's not to love?
Thank you, Don Bluth, for being you.
Yeah. But anyway, Sardo, before we finish up, what the hell have you been watching?
I just recently picked up Hannibal, the TV series with Mads Mikkelsen. I watched it like back forever ago, but it's like, you know what? I'm gonna take a look at this again. The first couple episodes, it's good. I like Mads. He's entertaining. I don't know. I think it's fine.
It's
what
fine.
What have you been watching?
I haven't been watching much, but I picked up Fightcade again and been playing some Street Fighter 3.
Very nice. Who do you main?
I main Makoto, which once again, yeah. Hi, Stross. You can say, go ahead, say it. Don't lie to me.
You and your Stross girls.
It's fun because she gets to punch people.
It's true.
And he goes, Chesto, which doesn't mean anything, by the way. That's just... It's not. We
just
both...
An exclamation.
Yeah, it's just an exclamation. It's doing what you do when you punch people.
Yeah.
Everybody
I
loves
know
it.
your type.
I hate the one worst thing about my type being known is everyone starts figuring it out so fast. It's not even like it's like I'm mad thing. It's just like it's sort of like great. I've been figured out. Everyone knows my weaknesses.
It's
I now have to zag. I've been zigging too
y-
long.
it's the mortifying ordeal of being known.
And there's many times where I've been seen, but it's also apparently super easy to be known.
And you also picked up recently something that's pretty popular right now.
Oh yeah,
How's how's Baldur's Gate 3?
it's been good. It's been good. It is an excellent CRPG of the Baldur's Gate. It took 1,000 years for it to come out. By the way, did you remember that when this game was originally announced, what console event it was attached to?
I have no clue.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. It is not anyone that. If you know someone who owns one of these, you know like five. You know one of the 5 people who owned it.
My obscure console knowledge is lacking. You're
It's
gonna
not
have
even
to.
obscure. It was the Stadia. Sardo. It was announced at a Stadia event.
That's so
And
sad.
also really funny.
Oh.
It was announced on a Stadia event back like 4 years ago. Like back in like
That
2016. And it's just so funny to me.
that is so silly.
Google Stadia. You know, everyone's favorite platform for video games.
The unbelievably popular Google Stadia.
I remember when I was told that by a friend, and I just had to laugh.
That's
It's really funny.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I'm not surprised that you wouldn't, because when was the last time anyone thought of Google Stadia?
Oh, to be real, I forgot the Google Stadia even existed. So,
In
there
fairness,
we go.
Sardo, and
Hmm.
in your defense, so did Google. I made you feel some high emotions today.
This has been a roller coaster of a discussion.
You're in a glass case of emotions right now.
This has gone places.
And it's been great.
But
Let's go watch some bird videos, Sardo.
let's watch some bird.
Anyway,
I
folks, this has been us. God, you're gonna draw us as the guys from Anastasia now, but you're gonna be mad at me. That's what's gonna happen.
I'm not
That's what this thumbnail's gonna be this week.
I'm not gonna say yes and I'm not gonna say no either. I'm not going to answer that for the time being. I'm gonna let that be up to you to decide.
Oh, we have fun here, guys.
Indeed.
Anyway, folks, that's Sardo. You can follow him at Autopsy Garlands, Marquis Belial for the art account. He'll be streaming later today on this Monday because this comes out on a Monday.
It's
Where
true.
the two of us will probably talk about the fact that you got annoyed at me today, and it's been really funny. You drew the angry eyebrows on yourself today.
I did.
It
I
happens
did.
to us all. It was gonna happen one of these days. I'm glad it's over Anastasia. Like something. This proves our friendship is real because it's over the most innocuous bullshit.
Of all things.
It's like no, we couldn't pick anything high-minded. You know, Don Bluth's Anastasia,
I refuse to be high-minded.
except for when talking about Neil Breen, apparently.
Yes, that's my one exception.
The one true exception. I'm Stross. You can find me at Almighty Stross on all platforms except the ones where it doesn't. But I will be.
Mhm.
I keep my avatars the same except for on Tumblr, which I haven't changed since 2015.
Stress is easy to spot.
Yeah.
You have branding.
Yeah, I have branding. I'll be streaming on Twitch Persona 5 with Sardo on Tuesday. tomorrow,
Yeah.
where you will have to deal with the Morgana voice.
It's part of your life now. If
It-
if you watch those streams, you
oh
just got to
god.
get used to
The
it.
worst part is we were doing it earlier. We do it. It's how we talk to each other now. It's that bird noises and random bullshit. This is our friendship.
What can I say, Joker? It's just it's a habit. It's a habit I found myself in.
I can't break the habit, Joker.
I'm breaking the habit, Joker.
Goodbye, everyone. We're gonna go do this for like the next 20 minutes minimum. Peace
Good night,
out.
everybody.
Night.